What is the difference between vertical and horizontal fingerings? So for instance, Paco de Lucia had a very practical use of that, because on C major fingering 4, the horizontal one is like this. Because we move up, horizontal, because we are moving from the 3rd fret, finger 1 on the 3rd fret is our guide. And then go up 1 fret and then go up 1 fret. So this is called horizontal. And vertical means that finger 1 will stay in the same place. So that's what it's called. Vertical fingerings. Paco used this both, but even his horizontal idea is very short movement, because in classical guitar, you know, there is, Andrés Segovia's fingerings has this, which is just extremely impractical for what we want. You know, I also learned it. But you know when I have used this shape? Never, because you have. So look. What is this? And then again. So it's too much. Extremely impractical. Why we need to do? If we can do the same fret, so. Right, this is the vertical fingering, Paco de Lucia's fingering, vertical for the minor melodic scale. Right, which in Segovia's fingerings is extremely impractical. So therefore, Paco hated all these things, and then he just opted for the simpler shapes and used, in fact, horizontal fingerings, which by the way has 3 notes per string, even by adding arbitrarily notes there, which don't belong to the scale in the case of his modal fingerings. But anyway, the thing is that horizontal is when we move like this, and vertical is when we stay in the same fret. This is the thing, and that's why it's important to know fingerings. Every guitar player has his way to finger scales, and this is a very particular thing, but there is no obstacle or problem if you know more fingerings or other fingerings, like Al Di Meola has his, Satriani has another way to finger, everyone has his own way to McLaughlin has other kind of fingerings, so it's very good. Alan Halsburg, to speak, like four notes per string. F major will become, and I cross the fretboard in one line. You see, he designed a whole technique on that. So therefore, fingerings are very particular and very personal. But I know some fingerings, and actually I opt to take the idea that Paco had, because those are very practical, and it's already difficult to play improvising and this stuff, changing keys. And if you become complex in the way the fingerings are, this seems that is just finger 3 on the 7th fret and finger 1 on the 9th fret. Why? This is just, it doesn't make one sense for the transposition. But of course, So many methods or lines are there designed to make your life difficult. And guess what? People say, oh wow, they actually like it. When you try to simplify people's life, some guys, not many, but some minority, some of them, they are actually not liking that you are simplifying things. They say, why you can do just with one fret, finger one stays there in the same fret. Right? Why do these things? Right? Of course, I had to do it in the school, etc., because I did a master's degree in classical guitar when I was young. But this is things that you will not use. So in my method, I eliminate many things which are not useful. And I have students who have, one of them came with a book of 1,000 fingerings. Incredible, no? But I was seeing it, very interesting thing, because of his thesis is about this fingering thing in Berkeley in the school. And then, but what is practical? This is what matters to us. Because as a theory thing, you can know it, but in theory, there is no difference between practice and theory. But in practice, there is, because when you need to do something, like playing in chord changes, etc., you need to see what's more practical. And the Paco's thing was the most practical way, because he didn't know even how to improvise or that, as he said in many interviews. And he learned that on the stage there with John McLaughlin and Limeola seated in the stage. So then, therefore, he had to devise the easiest way to go. And this easiest way, it is also can also be beautiful and complex as well, but it's easy in the sense that mainly it's a vertical way to go. And in fact, we do study both his horizontal and vertical fingerings, because both are useful. And then after knowing that you want to study other fingerings, then go ahead. That's good. To me, it's very good. Like, for example, in diminished scale. Actually, in guitar, because also a particular instrument, this instrument is tricky because it has many ways to do the same thing. Right? You can play this, you can play this in so many ways. This is one. So it's like 5-6 ways, same thing. The diminished scale from B to B will have one fingering is this. This is one way. Then another one, second will be. Then third. And come back here. Then fourth, fifth, left, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth. So this is too much. 9 fingerings for the same scale, right? So it's pretty complex. That's why Paco said, no, we want 3 only. Left, right, and horizontal. And only one of those, because there are 3 or 4. So if there are 9 fingerings, he used 3 only. Because this is most practical. I know the other stuff also, but I don't use it. Right. So also another thing is, if you're a teacher, you have to teach, then you maybe study also the things, and then because if you are asked to about, I haven't seen one guitar player in my life who knows 9 fingerings of the diminished scale. Never seen it, but I know it, and my students also know it. So it's better we are over prepared, yes, but when it comes to playing, best thing is that you use what is more practical to create music, because actually fingerings are to create music. So this we tend to forget. Therefore, most practical. Paco's fingerings are super practical, and just in one word, are simple. his layout is simplicity, simple thing, because as simple as possible is better. And I prefer to use that personally, because it's very practical. It's a very practical way to approach fingerings. So I hope this was information useful for you, to try to digest it and to think about, and I will see you next time.